So, Monica, a minute ago we were talking about Tai Chi and about how it helps longevity, helps you live a long life. One time when I was in Bangkok, I met a guy and he was doing Tai Chi and he looked really young, but he said the secret to his old life, he said the secret to looking young was Tai Chi and cold showers. He took a cold shower every morning. Could you
Oh, wow.
could you do that?
No, I don't think I could actually.
Yeah, I actually tried it for a while. I tried it for about a week, and I did feel so energized. And it was easy in Bangkok, so it's really warm. But I couldn't keep it up, especially now that I'm in a cold climate. There's no way.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, my mother used to teach me to splash my face with cold water in the morning because she believed that helped wake you up. And I remember as a child not liking that at all because I just found it too cold.
Right,
So I
right.
preferred to splash my face with warm water.
So, have you heard of any other secrets to having a long life?
Yeah, I've heard of quite a few different secrets to having a long life. I guess one secret that a lot of different cultural groups seem to share is diet. If you take the Japanese as an example, and Japanese people do have a long life expectancy in comparison to other people from other countries. I think the Japanese eat a diet that's quite low in fat and reasonably low in salt as well. And I think their fluid intake is quite healthy because they drink a lot of green tea, which has antioxidants in it, and they drink a lot of miso soup, which has a lot of vegetables in it and is made from fermented barley. So I think that's very healthy.
I've also heard that people in the Mediterranean, they also often have a long lifespan in certain regions, and maybe the combination of wine, just a little wine, not too much, but wine and olive oil, and then a lot of fish, seafood, is also maybe beneficial to a long life.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard French people, for example, live a long life, and that has often been said due to a glass of red wine a day. And I know people think differently about alcohol and its effect on the body these days.
Right.
Yeah, because alcohol used to be considered quite a bad thing and discouraged in all forms, but now people tend to think that a glass a day is actually quite beneficial to your health.
I've also actually heard that laughter, that people that laugh a lot tend to live longer.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that too, actually, because laughing releases natural endorphins, and I think that helps you physiologically, and also I think psychologically you're happier if you're laughing. So, yeah, I think that long life is related to how you're feeling, and I think a lot of it's psychological as well as physical, for example, how much you're eating and what types of food you're eating.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of in the same boat, but I just don't know if I laugh that much. Maybe I'm in trouble. So, Monica, you are from New Zealand.
Yes, that's right.
So, for people going to New Zealand, what would you recommend? What are three or four places that you must see in New Zealand?
Oh, okay. Three or four places you must see. Well, depends what you're looking for, really. I think a lot of people that come to New Zealand enjoy an outdoor lifestyle, so there's lots of outdoor activities and places you can go to enjoy in New Zealand. Personally, I find the South Island of New Zealand very scenic in comparison to the North Island. So for me, a must-do is the west coast of the South Island. It's very pretty.
The West Coast.
Yeah. In particular, there's two glaciers, Franz Joseph and Fox glaciers, which are very stunning to look at. And you can either have a look at them by foot, or you can pay for a helicopter ride that takes you up and shows you an aerial view of them.
Now, do people ever walk across the glaciers?
There are guides that can walk you across. Yeah, I haven't done it personally, but it is possible.
So what else would you recommend for New Zealand? What other places should people see?
I think if you want to see, let me think, rural New Zealand, it's quite a nice idea to drive the length of the country, and then you can see the interesting farming that has taken place, in particular in the South Island, the lower part of the South Island, and a lot of the North Island as well. There's a lot of sheep in New Zealand, and there's a lot of cattle as well. So I think it is always interesting to go for a drive and to see that firsthand.
So you just start up in Auckland in the north and drive all the way down south?
Yeah, well, there's many ways you can do it, but I recommend one way of doing it is to arrive in Auckland and to have an experience of a big city, well, a big city for New Zealand, and then drive down the centre of the North Island and maybe have a farming experience somewhere. There's a lot of farm stay opportunities available for tourists who come to New Zealand. So depending on how you do it, you might want to stay 2 or 3 days with a family and experience a farming lifestyle. So that's, one thing I'd recommend. And another is to maybe go to a city like Rotorua, which is really in the centre of the North Island, and experience Māori culture. There's a Māori village there near the Whakarewa forest, which hosts a lot of tourists, and you get to experience Māori waiata, which is Māori songs, and you get to see the hot springs in New Zealand and thermal mud pools. So yeah, Rotorua is a nice city to go and visit, and then work your way down to the capital of New Zealand, which is Wellington. And I think if you want to experience the cafe lifestyle of New Zealand, that's a good place to go.
Monica, you mentioned a farm homestay in New Zealand. Have you ever actually lived on a farm?
I haven't lived on a farm as such, but I've visited family friends who have lived on farms.
Oh, did you like it?
Yeah, I remember loving visiting my family friends on farms. Yeah, especially riding horses. I loved riding horses when I was young.
So are you good? Are you an equestrian professional?
I wouldn't say that. I do remember one time, my mother always seems to tell people this story about when I was young, and we were at her friend's farm. I was on a horse, and the horse took off, and I was only about, I think, 10 at the time, and I was hanging off the side of this horse, and my mother was really worried for me.
Yeah.
And then when the horse finally stopped, she, she came running up and asked me if I was okay and things. And apparently I said to her, "Oh, it's okay. I wanted it to go fast."
That's cute. You're lucky you didn't get hurt, though.
Yeah, wow. I guess I just didn't sense the danger.
Actually, I kind of grew up on a farm. My grandfather had a ranch growing up, so I spent every summer on his ranch. So I have quite the I don't know. I guess I have a lot of experience
Oh,
on a farm.
okay.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I remember when I was young, I thought the life on a farm was just the best. I mean, I had it so good, and I loved everything about living on a farm. And I thought when I was going to get older, I would want to be on a farm. But now that I'm older, I couldn't imagine doing it ever again.
Oh, what can't you imagine doing?
I don't know. I guess I just couldn't imagine all that work. And I think I'm just so addicted to city life or suburban life, and living in a house and just doing work on computers and things like that. I couldn't go back to that lifestyle. But when I was young, I have to admit I enjoyed it a lot. So how about you? Could you see yourself moving and living on a farm?
Well, yeah, I think my thoughts are similar to yours in that I'm very used to being inside using a computer, and I'm used to a very different lifestyle to one that involves being on a farm. But yeah, I've never had a long period of time where I've stayed on a farm like you, so yeah, maybe it's a bit different for me.
So, Shirley, we were talking about childhood memories, and you're from Scotland. There's anything from your childhood that you can tell us?
I know I've got a really funny story actually. Maybe I was about 10 years old or something, and we used to have this little kind of shack in the countryside that we were dragged to every weekend, and away from civilization, and no running water, no electricity. So we kids had to make our own fun. I've got my brothers, myself, and a couple of cousins. We would always go there at weekends or school holidays or something. And I mean, one of the highlight of our weekends was to go to the Sunday school, the Sunday morning church service. And one of the reasons this was attractive to the kids was because they bribed us to go there by giving us sweets when we got there. So it was great. So we always went anyway. It was a church service for about an hour and singing hymns and stuff like that. Anyway, this one Sunday we arrived early, about half an hour early. There was nobody there. The church wasn't open yet. So it was, as most people know, it rains a lot in Scotland. So on that rainy day, we all were wearing our cagoules, which is a kind of a rain jacket with a big pocket in the front. And while we were waiting for everybody else to arrive, we started just kind of playing around in the trees. There was a little river nearby. And it was at the time of year when the tadpoles were turning into baby frogs. So we got this crazy idea to collect all these. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of frogs were around. So we all got a big handful of baby frogs, put them in this big pocket of our cagoule, went off into church. So there we are. We're kind of in the middle of the crowd. We weren't at the front or the back, kind of in the middle. And everybody's standing up singing the hymns and really getting into, the church singing and stuff like that. And then we decided that we would get the frogs out. So each of us kids one at a time, kind of crouched down as if we were tying our shoelace and let all these frogs out of our pockets. So these tiny little frogs started jumping all over the church. And there's all these ladies in their Sunday best and started squealing and screaming, and the minister didn't know what was going on, and he's trying to keep everybody calm, and we're just singing along with the hymn. We're really innocent, and they had no idea because they didn't see us do it, so they had no idea what had happened. And yeah, I mean, we got away with it. We didn't get told off because we didn't get caught. And yeah, after the church service, we had such a laugh after the church service. And yeah, that's one of my greatest childhood memories, getting up to mischief with my brothers.
So, Nick, let's talk about touching and holding hands and physical touch with your significant other. Do you and your partner hold hands when you go out in the street?
We hold hands all the time. Initially, when we first went out, holding hands was the first thing we did. They've progressively moved on from there to kissing. But holding hands was certainly the first thing we did in our relationship.
Do you remember when you first tried to hold her hand, or did she try to hold your hand first?
I made the first move. We were sitting on the couch watching a movie, and I was getting a bit nervous, and I couldn't quite concentrate on the movie. So I moved my hand over to hers, and she reciprocated and moved on from there. So.
You know, that's funny that you bring that up, because one of the most common moves that is made fun of in movies as well is when the guy takes a big yawn, a fake yawn, and he opens his arms wide and places it around the girl's shoulder and thus embraces her. But he had to do it because he yawned.
My experience, like my first hug was like that as well. So it was just a bit of an excuse. I was reaching for something, and then suddenly my hand went around, and she didn't mind. So
That's
it was a
very
good sign.
good. And what about kissing? Do you kiss a lot in public, in the streets?
Rarely in public, because we find it makes other people uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true. I find that when I see couples kissing or making out in public, I usually think to myself, why don't you get a room?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to see that. You just want to be having a conversation with them, or you don't want them to be constantly distracted.